My name is Tinko Tinev and I'm your host for the Godcentred podcast vlog. In this series, I want to introduce a perspective on what I call God-centered view of life or tradition or culture, identity. There are many aspects to it. The central element is that it's accepting God's existence, and many religious traditions have evolved around this, that look at life as something that we experience, that we are created into, and that it's a blessing, a gift. The thing that surround us as gifts are gifts, and they give us purpose, meaning, comfort, joy. That's the one side. That's the God center that I try to explore. And then there is the God-denying view of life, which comes with its own set of values, which are based on a lot of big questions. Who created God? Who created the universe? And the assumption that God doesn't exist, that God was created by humans, invented by humans, and it's a religious kind of belief, because when I was being indoctrinated as a child, teenager, there was no option. You had to believe this. And for many Marxists who are being indoctrinated now, they're not given an option whether they can believe this or not. So it is kind of counterintuitive, because on one side, Marxists and progressive people, they claim to be skeptics. I was told that I'm skeptical, but all the skepticism is directed towards the belief in God. No skepticism is left to be directed towards the belief that there is no God. And I find this very strange, and I try to explore the kind of the hypothetical, ideal God-centered society. What would it look like? What did God intend it to look like? And these thoughts, they're inspired by my spiritual mentor, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, the founder of the Unification Church and Unification Movement, a person I really look up to all my life. As my spiritual mentor, as an example of what I decided when I first met his person through his speeches and writing and the members of the Unification Church. I decided that he is a person that, in my Marxist, atheist worldview, best described a moral citizen, a person capable of making moral decisions in any circumstance. And because I was very fascinated by this idea of moral citizen, I was looking for a model for myself that I can learn from, how to become a moral citizen, and I saw him as the moral citizen example that I haven't seen anyone surpass so far. And there are many reasons for this. I really explored his life and his work for many years, and I participated in many of the projects that he initiated to see for myself their authenticity. And very impressed. But now to talk about the topic that I want to talk about today, explore the topic of a God-centered society that would be rather different from the world we live in and the society we live in. This is an article from 2011, and this article looks at the value of the stay-at-home parent, the value that stay-at-home parent generates. Now, what is interesting about this article and this concept of the value of the stay-at-home parent is that it seems like the parents' efforts, the work that the parents do, have no monetary estimates that are attributed to the gross domestic product. And this is quite a strange phenomenon. It's almost like the parents represent a form of a gray economy, an economy outside of the economy. And why I'm saying this is because if the family was an economic unit, recognized economic unit, the family would be treated as a company. And in many cases, the family's turnover, like the money that the family makes and spends, would exceed the value-added tax for many European countries who have value-added tax. The family would pass the threshold and would qualify for tax returns of the value-added tax, which means that because the family is not an economic unit, it cannot claim the VAT tax back as a company, which means that, for example, in Ireland where I live, the value-added tax for certain services is 23%. The stay-at-home parent cannot reclaim this money. And that's quite a large amount of money at the end of the year. But money aside, the fact that the efforts of the parent are not recognized, and this is just, you can say, purely physical contribution, monetary contribution. What is also not recognized is the fact that the stay-at-home parent, or the mother or the father of the person, child, they're actually raising the future taxpayer of this nation, who will pay the taxes of everybody, themselves included, like their retirement contributions or payments will be paid by this child. But this child would also contribute to the payments of other people who do not have children and did not wish to raise children. So it turns out that the stay-at-home parent is being abused, like the parent, single mothers, fathers, anybody who is parenting is in a position of being abused on many different levels. From point of view that they're not an economic unit, that they cannot reclaim VAT, they're not recognized as contributing, in this case that we showed before, $115,000 in the USA. In Ireland, it was about 53,000 euro a year. And these are serious contributions and serious amounts of money that make a big difference in the life of a single person or in the life of a family, whether you can deduct their taxes or not. And why am I mentioning this is in relation to the God-centered society is because I make a parallel between the way we monetize everything in the human society, and it only is monetized within the boundaries of the human society. And even within the boundaries of the human society, things are monetized differently between countries. So some countries would have monetized something at a lower value, and others would monetize it at a higher value, which kind of prompts to the thought that the value is really fictitious. It's not real value, it's kind of invented value. attributed value, like we attribute the value and we demand people to pay an exchange, monetary exchange for the value that we attribute to things. But we choose not to attribute value to parenting and to raising future taxpayers. If, for example, the parents of Elon Musk, if we had to acknowledge their contribution to society, we would have to say that, well, they have contributed through their son, they have contributed to humanity in the trillions, in the many trillions of dollars, in light of the know-how alongside the real company value, but in terms of know-how, their son has contributed trillions of dollars to humanity. And there is no way under the sun in which this value can be attributed to them giving birth to him and raising him and supporting him. So the fruits that the genius of their son gives are in no way measured as their own contribution to humanity. And I find this really, really strange and confusing because, and this is where the concept of God-centered comes in, because in the God-centered tradition and way of life, we can say that Elon Musk is a blessing. We cannot measure his value. He's a phenomenon, and he's not alone. There's many people like Elon Musk, and they may be billionaires, but the value that they add to humanity is far beyond the monetary value that we can calculate and that they own, like company shares that they own. So there are certain things that are so precious that if we looked at them in detail, we have to say they're so precious we cannot put a monetary value to them. And I'm giving Elon Musk as an example because he's a very kind of modern object of excitement or hope. Gives hope to many people with all his ideas and hard work to accomplish them. So we can say a human being can be that precious. That much value can come of one human being. That much added value to humanity can come from one human being. And honestly, there is no way to measure this value. But that's in the God-centered society. Like in a purely materialistic society or God-denying society, only money matters. So Elon Musk, he has a value of whatever billions or trillion at different times of the year and months, based on the performance of his companies. He has different value. And Marxists like to call him a billionaire as a derogatory term, as if the money are the only measurement for his value to humanity, which is really strange. But this is how they work, how their mind works, and how their value system works. So we can say it's the woke culture, but it's beyond woke. It's the God-denying viewpoint, and it has many metamorphoses in history. And today it appears as the woke mind virus, or the modern mutation of communism, socialism, and fascism. But it really looks at people only as purely material being, and looks at their value as whatever their labor produces, that's their only value. There is no more value to the existence. And the God-centered tradition, it's more like, that's why I mentioned the parents, and I wanted to use this example because the God-centered tradition looks at human life as a parent who looks at the life of their children. The value cannot be measured. They just love their child, they want to take care of it, they wish the best for it. And the hope that they have for the success and fulfillment of this person, their child in life, is endless. And that's the other thing. As a parent, parents, we are willing to work, make money to invest in our children. And this model of leadership, social leadership, and that's why I wanted to raise the topic of the family as a God-centered, as an example of a God-centered way of life or system. The value of the child is limitless. It's like a priceless piece of art to the parent. But that's only in the context of this God-centered viewpoint. Like the God-denying viewpoint would say that the value of this child is to carry the family legacy, to inherit the money. So it has to be trained. This child has to be trained to be the best possible business manager or the best possible person that can retain, sustain, and multiply the wealth of the family. Because in this value system, money is the only measure of value. And I want to give these examples because I think it's really important to distinguish that for ourselves, our own selves, when we look at ourselves, we can say if we adopt a God-centered view of life, we have enormous value. Our value cannot be measured. We are extremely valuable people that have a unique contribution to society and to the world. And we can either choose to believe this or choose to believe that we don't have such value and contribution to society. And I find for myself that thinking that you have value helps you be more confident to add value. And thinking that you don't have value, accepting to believe that you don't have value, discourages you from making an effort to add value. And that's where I want to wrap up for today. I find this very fascinating to explore, and there are many, many different aspects that I've kind of analyzed over the years and would like to share on this channel. So come back and we'll find another topic. If you have any particular interest in a topic that you would like to discuss, you would like me to discuss, or look at it from a God-centered point of view, leave a comment and I will prepare myself and look at the topic from that particular point of view. All the best and see you soon.